Anton Kaminsky from Kaminsky Law. Thanks for sitting with me right now. And this is a full disclosure testimonial for VC Productions. So it's a little uncomfortable me running the interview here. But Anton, we've had the pleasure of working with you. We've created a brand film for your business. You have already created video content in the past on your own. You own some equipment and you've done some educational videos. We're here in the video podcast studio right now. And my question here after just recording an episode with you is, why this? Like, why was this a good solution for you? What was the problem? Why did you reach out to us to do this with us? And how's it working out for you so far?
Sure. I'd be happy to talk about it. Well, first of all, we per your good advice, we bought some good equipment. We set it up in my office every now and again, and we make videos, and we try to, make them short and try to be educational. But what winds up happening is there's so much uptime, downtime, editing time, and all sorts of things that you don't think about other than, hey, look, we're talking for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever we talk for,
yep.
Right? In order for me to make a 5-minute video, I need to do one of two things. I need to either set up my entire office like this, right?
Yep.
Do the video, take down my office, then have somebody edit the video, make sure, maybe I need to do 3 or 4 takes or 5 takes, right? And then break it down, and that's to create one video, right? Or I need to set up my office like this for a prolonged period of time, right? Leave it like this.
Right, allocated space.
Yeah, sure. and then make videos, I don't mean allocated space. I mean look, I like the look of my office with the bookshelf and everything in the back, right? So I don't mind that look, but I also need that office to be an office.
Right, it's a functional space,
right. And so I can't have cameras sitting there and lights sitting there.
And clients navigating around the wires.
Right, exactly.
Stuff, right?
X's on the ground and stuff, right? And so it takes a lot of time to do that, whereas, and then to think about all these different ideas, right? And I think that what you have here as a process is a very helpful process where, you come in, this is all set up. It's a beautiful setup, guys. I mean, everybody can't see it. I wish you could spin the camera around, right?
We'll get some shots in. Yeah.
And you come in, you kind of have some things that you want to talk about. The funny thing is, the thing that we wanted to talk about today, I didn't know we were going to want to talk about it today until last night.
Right.
I had a completely different
concept of what we were going to talk about today, right?
Exactly. And you can come in, you sit down for an hour, hour and a half, whatever it is, and it flows. And then it's one long form piece of content that I think there's a lot of valuable little tidbits in where I don't know that I'd be able to do that, right? On my own. Edit it or whatever, cut it and make it flow good. I think that's another huge piece of it, right? The way that the cameras look when I make my videos is not like this, guys. It's not all this.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Tell more.
No. Well, the editing's great. The lighting's great. We don't know this stuff, right? I'm trying to be a lawyer.
Right.
And so I'm not great at that. And that's great. And then I think the third piece that I think that really sold me on this and is continuing to sell me on this is that you're really good at this, right?
Thank you.
And so how to drive it, how to make it appealing, entertaining, how to make it interesting and not boring. And when it doesn't feel right, you got to take it over or cut it, try it again, whatever it may be, right? And I think that that's huge too, because I could potentially be doing a podcast where me and one of my employees are talking for 2 hours and people are going to fall asleep 5 minutes into it.
I appreciate you saying that. There is a skill to interviewing. Obviously, I've been doing this for 18 years now. So interviewing different folks for videos, and it's about finding a way to get the most out of people without making it about yourself, right? Like being here sitting on camera, and we obviously have a model where you could choose to bring in your associates with you. I think it's really helpful to be able to sit sort of on the outside and ask the questions that your target audience probably needs to know. And so I love that you acknowledge that. And I think that's the biggest value, the spontaneity of this, right? So we had a completely different concept we were going to talk about in this video podcast. And then you had something come up that one of your cases is going to actually be featured in the news, and you were like, I want to make sure we talk about that something coincides with it. Most video content, your brand film, for example, there was a whole scripting, storyboarding, writing process, the back and forth, and that's our bread and butter. That's what we do all the time. The pre-production, the production, and the post-production. What video podcasting does, I think, so well, and I love that it's worked like this for you, is we can cut down that pre-production process to, hey, we just printed out all of the stuff from your website on one page. I sat down and just asked you about it, and we just had a conversation, right? And now all of the short form content that's going to come out of this longer episode is something you can deploy over and over and over again online.
Right. Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of value Me personally, as a consumer, this is how I think, right? Is if you're hiring somebody that's like a professional of some sort, right? Accountant, lawyer, investment advisor, whatever it may be, you want to hear them talk about it, right? I mean, that was like the big thing, and I don't mean to go into it, but that was the big thing in the election, right? Like we wanted to hear a long form content. We want to hear who you are as a person, not just like canned responses potentially, right? And so I think being able to sit down with somebody for an hour and ask them questions and see how they rationalize these questions and how they answer the questions where it's not scripted. And guys, this is totally not scripted.
No, not at all.
The extent of the scripting is like, hey, we're going to talk about this. Is it okay if I look at some of these things?
Right.
Or maybe a 5-minute conversation with John before the video starts to say, hey, like here's kind of the basics of it. And
Sure.
and I actually, you touched on it too, is you're approaching it from like I don't mean this in a negative way, but from a layman's perspective.
For sure.
Right? You're like, you don't have experience in the field that you're questioning me about. And so you're asking these questions that I'm assuming most people have.
Right.
And so that's also helpful in and of itself because it's drawing out of me something to explain it. And I can't explain it to you as I would explain it to another lawyer that works in my firm. Like we could nerd out about lawyer stuff.
Right.
But I have to explain it to you in a layman's way too. And I think that in and of itself is valuable.
Yeah, I think that's something we've taken into, I've had the pleasure of working across industries, across, and within that creating different types of content, whether it's training video content, branding film content, commercial content. And so, yeah, we don't know everything there is to know about the law, right? That's why you're an attorney and that's why I do video production. But having
I'm just going to say, I don't know everything there is about the law either.
that is some humility that we should all be able to take into our day to day, right? To be able to say that. But in all seriousness, I think that looking from the outside in, it's hard to see the forest through the trees sometimes, right? When you're in that space, you're thinking about all of the different things. And I know I've run into this when we've created content for my business. And thank you for sitting down to do this testimonial. I'm going to make a piece of branded content for VCP and I'm thinking of 75 different things I want to say, do, examples I want to share, et cetera. Whereas a lot of times our target audience and the questions that they have are really the questions you might have, right? If you were hiring a video production company. And the same is true as a business owner, as somebody who might have to, work with lawyers who, in this case, we just did an episode about your work in cemetery and funeral home negligence, right? And so I had a ton of questions that I have no idea. I hadn't heard about this topic before I talked to you. So that's really great. And I appreciate you acknowledging that. I think that that's one of the strengths, that asking the questions and having those things from a layman's perspective is the value that we can bring because we're not sort of seeing it from the inside out.
I'm happy to do it, man. And one thing I would add also, just for business owners, for busy people, I mean, look, we started at 11 a.m.?
Yeah.
I walked in here at 10:55, and at 11:05 we were rolling.
Right.
And at 12, what are we at? 12:35.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. I could go back to my day. I could do whatever I got to do. So really, I'm dedicating an hour and a half to this.
That would have been at least just setting up your cameras in your office.
Yeah, I would have gotten 5 minutes of content.
Right. I'm going to say 6. I think you've at least gotten 6 in there, just knowing how good you are. So, Anton, beyond appreciative, thank you. And we'll keep it going. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man. Look forward to it.